on my DVR.
Yeah.
You know? And so, which creates a lot of angst in my life. Not really, because my sister and I like to chat about
and
the
she's
soccer.
always ahead.
She's always behind.
Oh,
she
she's
watches
behind.
all the games.
Yeah, that's right.
She's got Peacock, and she watches all the games. Anyway, so I watched them all. But anyway, so I'm an Arsenal fan. You're a Dortmund fan.
That's right.
I had to make a conscientious decision a few years ago that I just was not going to watch the Bundesliga because there's only so much bandwidth in your life.
That's right.
But occasionally, like the other day, okay, I'm up. I'm going downstairs to do on Saturdays and Sundays I do like a soccer game length workout.
Yeah.
And which is a great long workout. Sometimes it depends on,
It's a 2-hour deal.
2-0. Usually it'll be more like 75 to 90 because I will fast forward.
Skipping through.
Not much. Soccer's a bad skipping through sport. Sure. So, but anyway, at 10, while I was in the time frame that I was going to watch Premier League games, your game was on.
Yep. And on TV.
On ESPN2.
Yeah. The Bundesliga is not on the regular cable that often.
So it's on ESPN2. I'm like, and it's
Bayer Leverkusen. They won the league.
They're undefeated, so you could piss in their Cheerios if you win the game. Well, it ends up, and this is real time, which is funny because I was going to watch the end of the game later, but then my wife turned on the TV when she was eating lunch, and the end of the game came on. And I saw Leverkusen score the tying goal. So I texted you later and said, "Have you watched the game yet?" And you said, "No, I'm watching it now," because I didn't want to spoil it.
I was grilling and I was watching it outside on the deck.
Watching it, and so it's real. I know Joe's in real time, so this is like 5:00, and he says, "I'm watching the game." So it says the timestamp says what 5:10 or something, and I get the next text is at like 5:50, and it says, "Son of a bitch."
Because Leverkusen
tied the game.
Tied the game with in the 7th minute of
stoppage time. Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. So Danny says, you really had a chance to shit in their Cheerios.
Right. That's what I texted. And he's like, "What? I never heard that phrase." And so we started said, I think that's a version of
piss in your Cheerios.
Piss in your Cheerios, turd in the punch bowl.
Turd in the punch bowl is my favorite.
Yeah, there's probably others.
So I looked over at my wife that night, and I was going back through my phone, and I had some text messages that I needed to figure out for work and then, get some stuff off. And as I'm scrolling through to go back to the text messages I'd yet to open so that I wouldn't forget about them, I come across your text message, and I just start giggling. And and my wife's like, What are you giggling at? And so I told her, and she got this horrific look on her face. And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "I've never heard anything like that." And I go, "Well, no, it's like piss in your Cheerios." And she goes, "Do what in your Cheerios?" Like she'd never heard anything.
Had she heard turd in the punch bowl?
She had, because I use that all the time.
Oh, okay. That's the same phrase.
And she told me she's told me not to say that anymore because she hates it.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, she did not care for the phrase, Danny.
Well, I think it's I don't really use it very often. It's gross, but
it's illustrative, though. It really lets people know.
Or illustrative.
Illustrative.
You should fact check.
Is that how I should say it?
I think illustrative is the first way to say it.
Oh, really?
I believe so. That's a good fact check, though.
It's got to just be British American, right?
I think illustrative is the number one, but I could be wrong.
Because illustrative makes sense because you're illustrating it.
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of the British ones that are fancier,
laboratory,
like aluminium. That makes no sense because there's no I in the
laboratory.
The back end. Laboratory, I can see. Some of them I can see. Some of them sound. But hey, it's their language. That's the thing that it's their language. We're bastardizing their. What? You're pronouncing it that way? Like Davies. Ray Davies and Dave Davies, the Kinks, whatever. That's pronounced Davis in England. And it was soccer that finally taught me this, because there'd be a soccer player and I'm like, he's running around and he's Davies, and they'd be like, "Oh, Davis is playing it over the."
Oh,
I'm like,
really?
What? And so I started. Then I watched a music documentary once that was from England. It was like, and Dave Davis and Ray Davis of the Kinks. I'm like, oh.
Well, you remember last time we talked about how it was like these British and Irish immigrants in the South that they were the crackers or whatever.
Right.
Remember that?
Yes.
I heard the other day that the Southern accent is really just a British accent slowed down. So if you think about it, so I started thinking about it.
Well, that's the other part. There are so many British accents.
Yeah, I would say it's probably one of the lower,
Right.
the lower British accents. Like a Cockney or something. It kind of does sound like it. So the next time you hear somebody speaking with like a Tennessee or Alabama accent, not so much Texas.
Maybe you could speed it up on a podcast.
What an idea, Danny! Way to bring it back around.
What'd you do? Circular thinking. An ectogasm of sorts. we maybe better get out of here.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that was 2 good beers. No, you know what? We're not even. This is only the equivalent of what? Not even.
Look, you can think that I've had too many beers. I haven't. I'm just having a good time.
We're just
I haven't
having
seen Danny in 3 weeks.
We're just
Come
having a
on
good
now.
time, and there's no more joy in anyone's life than seeing Danny. And raising a glass and clinking a glass.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
the 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. Great food, finely crafted beers, cocktails, and great sports viewing in a friendly and comfortable atmosphere. Join Matt Llewellyn and his great staff at 23rd and Castle in Lawrence.